Hello everybody! Welcome to another video. This is the second episode in my Give a Girl a Library Beauty and the Beast retelling series, and it was trying to figure out which one I wanted to do next. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so much fun with this, and probably no one's gonna watch these, but whatever, because I get to talk about books that I love. And I'll probably, the first two are probably more obscure. There'll be ones that probably you've definitely heard about, that maybe you didn't know or be the Beast retellings. But I'm hoping to do this and focus on books that you don't know about, because isn't that the beauty of BookTube and just books in general, is that you get to find out about more books. So the book we're talking about today, actually, since it's only the second episode, should I give you some information about this series? I think I should. Okay, so before we get into the book, very quickly about the series, I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast fan. It probably makes up way too much of my personality, honestly. I was born in the same year that the animated film came out. I have seen the touring Broadway production 3 times. As soon as that, I think they're doing they planned a 25th anniversary Broadway revival, and then COVID kind of messed things up, and now I think they're still planning on bringing it back. It already came back in the UK, the musical did, and I think they're doing something live in the fall on one of the channels. I don't remember which one, maybe NBC. What's the one that's Disney? It would have to be whatever, we'll figure it out. But anyway, I love it, and I love the book element to it. I love the whole non-traditional standards of beauty thing. Yes, that's A+. The Stockholm Syndrome thing can be interesting depending on what version you're watching. I remember a few years ago, I was actually watching the animated film for the first time in a long time, and I went to go see it at the theater. This is before COVID, maybe I think it was before COVID, or maybe yeah, it was before COVID. And they were showing some of the classics, and so they were doing Little Mermaid. They had Beauty and the Beast, and I hadn't seen the original 1991 version of it for probably 15, 20 years, because there is a special edition of it that came out in the early 2000s, 2002, I think. And it features a song called Human Again. And that song, even though it only lasts a couple minutes, you get to see some scenes with Belle and the Beast that further develops their relationship. And I didn't realize how much that added to that relationship and how it made me feel better about it, because I was watching it and I was like, yeah, I don't know if this works anymore. I still love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it still. But I think more importantly, it made me interested in other ways you could tell that story. So that's what this series is. The books will cover historical romance. Some of them will be spicy. Some of them will be fade to black. Some of them will be indie. Some of them will be traditionally published. Some of them will have will stick more closely to the original fairy tale, not the Disney version, the original fairy tale. Some of them won't. Some of them are fantasy. Some of them are dystopian. It's just going to run the gamut, and I'm really excited about this series. So now, without further ado, the book we're going to talk about today is called Master of Crows. It is by Grace Draven. I went through a whole Grace Draven thing at the end of last year, and I'm sure I will talk about her a lot on this channel. In October of last year, I really discovered her, and I have 3 books of hers on my shelf out here. I have a library with a ton of books in it, but it's not organized right now. And if you looked around, if I turned this camera and showed you what my apartment looked like right now, you would be like, shame upon you for recording anything right now when you should be cleaning. And you know what? I get it. But I had this outfit on, and I was like, we're going to record this. So Master of Crows. It's written by Grace Draven. It is indie published. She has books that are traditionally published. And I cannot remember what that series is called, but they're quite good as well. But this is one of my absolute favorite books from her. I have so many though. She's so good. Especially when she's doing like long form. She writes some things that are shorter, but the longer stuff is really good. I say longer. It's 370 some odd pages. Okay. So what's this about? So The Master of Crows technically is the first in a series. I read this after I read her Wraith Kings series, which at this point only has 3 books. But the 4th one is coming out soon, I think, like next year, like early next year. I'm so excited. I've been waiting. And this takes place in that same universe, but it takes place like thousands of years after. And I only say that to tell you that there could be connections between the two, but they're not super important necessarily. So it's kind of whatever. But it's the first, and there's a second book. The second book is novella. The second book is quite good. However, it is short, and I wish that the second book is the perfect opportunity to cross this series and then the Wraith Kings series and sort of like braid them together. And it kind of starts that process, but it doesn't really do it. So I recommend this, wholeheartedly. Second one is really good too, but like this is it. Okay. So Master of Crows, what is it about? So we have 2 main characters. The first main character is Martise, and Martise this is a fantasy, by the way, in case you couldn't figure it out. So a lot of them are fantasy. So Martise, she has grown up in the Conclave, and the Conclave is basically priests. And in this world, it's weird. Priests sort of regulate magic and magic users. So there's sort of a religious element to it. And she is kind of the slave of the main priest, whose name I cannot remember. And he's not worth remembering. He's a terrible person. And he has a part of her soul in this necklace that he wears. And Martise she has shown signs of possessing magic, but they haven't been able to get the magic to manifest. So they don't really know what her skills are and, if she will even be powerful. But they do know that she has the potential. And so there is another character. Okay, so that's Martise, obviously. So this is Silhara. Silhara should not be attractive, but holy hell. He's like Rochester. Actually, honestly, this is kind of, that's interesting. But isn't Jane Eyre also a Beauty and the Beast retelling? I mean, really. It really is. But it is also a very Jane Eyre, Rochester-y type vibe to this. So, Silhara is a master of crows. He does crow magic. It's sort of perceived to be darker magic. So, the priests who are trying to regulate that, right, and decide who gets trained and that sort of a thing, they don't really like it. He doesn't really break a lot of the rules. He doesn't do magic that's necessarily super dangerous, but he's very powerful, and you see that pretty quickly, and obviously they are threatened by him. And so the main priest is like, okay, here's what we need to do. We need to keep an eye on him. We'd like to get some evidence that he is not following all of the Conclave's orders regarding magic, so we can punish him. So they send Martise under the guise of, because she's also really great with languages, she can read languages very well and translate. Silhara has requested someone who can do that because he is trying to break a curse. It's not quite a curse, but we'll talk about that. And he needs someone who can translate old documents. And so they send her to help him, but also to spy on him. And in return, if she finds information and does what they ask her to do, they will give her her freedom, which she's never had. So that's the basis of this book. It is Such a good book, guys. You have no idea. It's so good. There are beautiful lines in this, and I haven't started annotating my books yet. I read this originally on my Kindle, and I think I'm gonna have to like just go to town on this guy. But anyway, what happens is he knows that she's there to spy on him, but he also needs her help. And the thing he needs help with is translating these old documents that might shed some light on solving a problem that is facing the entire world and him. And that is this god called corruption. And stick with me here, okay? So corruption, they thought like years and years and years and years ago that they had defeated him. But he's back, and he's like this sun, I think, that sort of like floats near Neath, which is the sort of decrepit, old, falling apart mansion estate that Zohara inherited from his master. After Zohara was kicked out of like the actual like priest training, and they tried to kill him. Actually, it's not good. When he was a child, he was taken in by this guy and trained with him and became a master of crows. So where am I going with this? I was going somewhere. Oh, corruption. His son sort of sits kind of in the area of Neath, and he is sort of wooing Zohara with offers of power, and he needs Zohara's body to come back. And Zohara has been doing his best to keep it at bay, but he can't do it forever. And he loses control of his magic at times as a result of it. He can hear this god in his head, and he needs to defeat him. And everybody they know about this. Like, the other priests in the conclave know that corruption is back, but they're sort of like meh about dealing with it, which is ridiculous because he will kill everyone. There's pestilence, there's plagues, there's droughts, like the world is being affected by this. And so Zohara is looking through these ancient texts, a lot of which he's stolen, to be able to hopefully find a ritual that will kill the god. And that is why he needs Martise. So that's the setup of this book. I don't want to give too much away, but I'll kind of give you a general summary because there's some like really great surprises in here that I just cannot give away. You have to read it. So Martise is going to be training with him, so that way, hopefully they can get her power to manifest. But she's also helping him in terms of researching. She does not know that he is being affected negatively by this god. She's really left out of the loop on that. But Zohara does know that she is trying to spy on him, like, poorly, because there's not a whole lot that she can find out. He also has, Zohara also has this servant / bestie named Gurn. And Gurn, he met Zohara in prison, and he had his tongue cut out. And he's like this big, like, giant, burly, bald guy with no tongue. And he and Zohara speak sign language to each other, essentially. And so Martise has to learn to communicate with Gurn. And also Zohara has an orange vineyard. Orchard. And I think it's oranges. I'm pretty sure. And so, yeah, I think it's oranges. And he's passionate about that. He works outside. Like, he is not what you would expect by someone who is supposed to be the most, like, powerful person ever. Like, he is. But also, he's, like, very humble. He's had to work for a lot of things. And they sell these oranges to make money for the estate. And so, and then he also has this dog. And I can't remember the dog's name. But, that's the gift. Sorry. When they say if you have magic or not, that's your gift. But Zohara has this dog who is supposed to be able to tell if someone has magic or not, since their gift. And he's like retired though, and so Sohara knows because of this dog that definitely she has a gift, and he starts trying to scare it out of her basically, and it's not working. She's actually kind of terrified of him, and he feels very guilty about it, but he's not quite sure how else to get her to manifest. And then she's also spending time working in the orchard, and then it's basically them getting to know each other. She is not supposed to be attractive, and neither is he. He has this immediate reaction to the way her voice sounds, and it is like, oh my god, it's so good. And she finds him incredibly sexy. She has to call him master. There is not like a daddy kink in this. I'm not really that big into it, but that's not a part of this. And in fact, when she finally says his actual name, Sohara, out loud, he like has a moment. But they're getting to know each other, and she's realizing things about him. He's realizing things about her. They have an easy rhythm together, and they're still trying to figure out what her gift is. And one day they go on a mission to steal some more pages from, I can't remember where it is. It's like this estate of this like person who used to be a mage, but like then like did all this dark magic or whatever. They're basically like this hollow, scary, I don't know, probably like Harry Potter-esque, like whatever those creatures are. I can't think of it right now. But like kind of like a wraith. And Sohara had stolen things from him before, or this creature before, and maybe didn't get all of it. And so they have to go back. And Sohara uses an immense amount of magic trying to get them away once the creature realizes they're there. And he is like basically like bleeding on the ground, like nose is bleeding. He's incredibly weak, and they're not going to be able to get away because he can't, taking both himself and Martise is taking too much of his energy. And so it is that causes her magic to come forth and her gift. And Sohara, when he finds out what kind of gift she has, is terrified because of what he could, if he didn't have self-control, what he could do to her. And the rest of the book, I mean, it's self-explanatory. Obviously, it's a romance. They're going to get together. But you also have the whole corruption storyline. Are they going to defeat this god? Is the conclave going to force her to find information about Sohara? What happens when she doesn't find anything? All of that stuff. Can he defeat the god on his own? Is anyone going to help him? It's just, God, it's a great book. And me talking about it right now makes me just want to like read it again. It's so good. Grace Draven does not get enough credit. I have read a decent chunk of her books, and they've all been great. Some of her, what I do like about her, I'm a huge fan of additional content. Like, give me those short stories, please. And she has quite a few of them. So if you get really attached to Sohara and Martise, you've got the like second book, the novella, but there's also a couple, I think at least 2 short stories that feature them as well. And it's just, he loves her so much, and he protects her even when she doesn't need protection, and she is strong and she can't take care of herself. But he's very protective over her, and it is just wonderful. So that's Master of Crows, and that's the second episode in our series. So I hope that you enjoyed that. If you have a favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling, leave it in the comments. If you have a Beauty and the Beast retelling that you want me to talk about, tell me. And we'll just keep doing this a couple times a month. Okie dokie. Bye.